Equitable schools work hard to develop relationships with students in order to help them identify their place in the world. A great way to help children do this effectively is to introduce stories and materials that act as mirrors and windows. This phrase was initially introduced by Emily Stile for the National Seed Project. As a mixed-race girl, I found it very difficult to connect with others. I never felt white enough for the white people and not brown enough for the brown people. As a student, I remember feeling like I was trying too hard just to fit in somewhere.
As an immigrant living in a small Kentucky town, I was ashamed to be Laos. I wanted to be an American just like everyone else in school, so I never questioned why all the books we read were mostly about American culture. When teachers or classmates asked me about my culture, I took their curiosity as scorn. Our lives as students are not uncommon and have created some negative feelings for us both. This is why the National Equity Project's article, The Effect of Oppression on the Learner's Brain, has really touched home.
What we needed growing up, and what all children need so badly, is a mirror. A mirror is a story that reflects your own culture and helps build and confirm identity. Books as mirrors are texts in which children can find themselves, their families, and their communities reflected and valued. Opposite a mirror, a window is a resource that offers you a view into someone else's experience. Windows help us develop understandings and empathy about the wider world. For some children, this may be the first time they're exposed to differences in culture, skin color, religion, and lifestyle.
In 2018, of the 3,600 children's books, only 27% of them are about children of color. What message do we send students when they do not see themselves reflected in the books that are used in our classrooms? What messages do we send to students from the dominant culture when we only use texts that reflect their culture and experiences? With global access, cultural literacy has become a necessary skill in the 21st century. The shift toward global community means educators must help students become global citizens.
If we are raising children to be global citizens, to be change makers in the world, and to be leaders in kindness, then learning how to collaborate and empathize with others will be key. School is a great place to start practicing. As educators, we know that sustained reading is vital, but as we educators also know, it's almost impossible to require sustained reading of a text that a student is not engaged with. We are resource curators. We must provide access to texts that relate to all walks of life.
When choosing books for students to read, be cognizant of how might a child perceive the information. Often we see how white people change the world through their intellectual ability, and Black people change the world by being great in sports or through civil rights movements. Not only do we have content standards, we have to expose children to the 21st century skills, build social emotional awareness, and we can't forget those generations' competencies and authentic learning experiences.
It is critical to understand that students cannot truly learn about themselves unless they learn about others as well. We often hear about putting ourselves in others' shoes. This is a key element of building emotional intelligence and a skill that helps us maintain relationships. We often try to choose books for our students based on what we think they will like. In doing this, we make a bunch of assumptions. Simply providing choice to text is not enough. We must intentionally provide access to texts that touch our students' hearts.
Schools can be hesitant to teach civic literacy today, for fear of being criticized as being too political or biased. Many adults shy away from talking about race, but our students are anxious to have that conversation. Alfred Tatum phrases it this way: neither effective reading strategies nor literacy reform will close the reading achievement gap unless meaningful texts are at the core of the curriculum and educators know how to mediate such text.
Viewing literature through a lens of windows and mirrors helps us understand that in addition to text being stories to be enjoyed, they are also powerful tools of social justice. With access to mirror text, students see themselves. With access to window text, students learn to understand and appreciate others. The diversity provided through windows and mirrors curriculums extends beyond ethnicity. They also include how a piece of literature addresses religion, family structure, culture, and also mental and physical ability. Presenting these texts is especially important for groups that often feel disconnected.
Talking about issues of identity and oppression is hard, but we must honor that difficult process. If we are willing to be vulnerable, open, and honest with students, we are modeling the relationships we hope they can have with us and with others throughout their lives. Educators who have students unlike themselves may not be able to mirror for their students, but we can help students seek them out. We can hold them up. We can listen when diverse students or colleagues voice their critiques of our chosen curriculum, and we can make conscious use of windows and mirrors ourselves, helping us to see our students more fully, our own backgrounds more clearly, and our teaching with a more critical eye.